Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. While at Austin Film Fest, I found a spot in the Driscoll Hotel to sit down with Nicholas Stoller and Francesca Delbanco, creators of the Netflix series Friends from College. We talked about breaking the show for television, taking criticism on a personal project, what's in store for Season 2, and much more. Hope you enjoy.
How many TV dudes are there?
4.
4?
Yes.
Big contingent.
Yeah,
a lot of dudes.
A lot of dudes. Yeah. It's been weekly for 6 years, and it's difficult to get.
To do, yeah.
Yeah, there's always somebody who has something.
Do you take turns?
So yeah, there's usually a kind of jump seat of
right.
who's rotating in depending on what's on TV that week.
Yeah.
Sometimes the homework's more fun than other times.
That's a lot of watching.
It's a ridiculous, yeah.
It's a labor of love.
What have you seen that's good recently?
Hill House.
Hill House. I'm
he's
watching that.
it.
It's
I'm
so
way too
scary.
scared to
Really
watch
enjoying
it.
it. Mike Flanagan's just great. Yeah.
I'm way too scared.
What has he written before? Like, what has he done?
Oculus that had
Oculus?
Amy
Is that a horror
Pond. It's a horror movie. A lot of horror movies.
Oh, just horror movies, yeah.
Mostly.
It's so scary. I want to... I'm compelled to keep watching because this human story is really good, but it honestly might be too scary for me.
That's what I really like about his stuff is the human element comes through really strong.
Yeah.
It's not just jump scare.
No.
He only watches it like in broad daylight when other members of the family are in the room.
Headphones, and I take my headphones off for scary moments. I'm like, looking at
Yeah, like literally I have to be in the room coming in and out. I see you watching it kind of like...
Yeah. But I want to keep watching it because it's like I want to know what's going to happen with the characters.
Well, I just rewatched the last couple of episodes from season 1 of Friends from College, and so I was excited to talk to y'all. Can you talk a bit about breaking the show for television? Why it's not a movie or not a book, or why a TV
Nobody's ever
series?
asked us that before. That's such a good question. Originally, Nick had a meeting at HBO where they were like, do you have any ideas for a show about marriage? So I think that was like how the sort of ball got rolling with us, having a conversation about what would be an interesting show about marriage. So I think it was like planted as a seed in our brain as a TV show in a way. But what we like about it as a TV show as opposed to a movie is it's so many characters in the ensemble, and there are so many different things that can keep developing between them, and we didn't want to have to resolve it all in like 90 to 100 minutes. Like we were like, this could go on in our minds forever. There are sort of like infinite like couplings and recouplings and friend stuff to explore here that could really last for a long time. And so we sort of liked the possibility of keeping it open-ended and not having to sew up all the threads so quickly.
I know, for example, this happens on Hill House. Each character gets an episode, basically, which can frequently happen in ensemble shows. And I don't feel like that's quite how it's threaded on Friends from College. What were the discussions like on how to separate out this many stories?
I mean, I think we really approach it like a 4-hour movie, and so we don't break it like, well, we really need to service this character, or we really need to in this episode or whatever. It's more like, well, if this is the story we're telling, then the midpoint is here at the end of the 4th episode, and the first act kind of ends like here, kind of in the middle of the 2nd episode. So it's kind of more broken that way. And then each episode will have like an event, like the first season of like the wine tasting. So we'll have some sort of event that is that episode, but that it's the emotional journey and the big plot moves are part of a much bigger kind of thing. And it really, in a weird way, even though it doesn't seem like it, I don't think this show could exist before streaming. Like, it is the kind of thing that you want to watch the whole thing at once. Like, it's not even a normal cable show, I don't think. I think it's like, it's very much like potato chips. Ideally, you want to keep eating it. So, if you like potato chips.
But it's funny, we had thought in the second season there were a lot of things we were struggling with the way you do in any season, trying to break it, and we felt like we had enough story to we had 7 episodes we knew we wanted, and there was just this one floating episode we couldn't fill up, because we'd move things from episode 6 into episode 5, and then we'd take things and put them in episode 7, and we were always sort of short an episode, we felt like, for a lot of the writing season, and we kept being like, we could just do a sort of bottle episode like what you're talking about, where we follow one character through a day and really just stay with that character, and it never felt right for this show. show. It's just we were like, this show is an ensemble. If you take away all the other characters, I'm not really interested in one of their days without each other. And it's interesting that you mentioned it being structured that way, because we did try, and it just didn't feel like it was going to survive the particular architecture of this show.
Well, I'm also drawn to, and we're both drawn to very plotted things. You know, one of my favorite shows is Sex and the City, and it was like very plotted and did have this kind of like the romantic plots of that were very juicy and fun to watch, and that's what made me want to keep watching it. And I think there's been a move to make comedies gotten more and more kind of I don't know, like a little bit more surreal and not quite as funny, and a little bit more just kind of exploring characters, and like some of that can be really interesting and profound, but a lot of times I end up zoning out and I just want plot, like forward momentum, you know.
I know I'd read in an interview that you had taken some criticism from season 1 and retooled a bit, or were looking at different avenues of the story. Something I heard Scott Rosenberg say yesterday in his panel was the difference in criticism on, hey, they're going to rewrite you on Con Air, versus, hey, they're going to rewrite Beautiful Girls. And that he would have fought for Beautiful Girls. I don't know, Storks might be the most treasured movie of your entire career. I don't mean to knock it, but is it different getting feedback on Friends from College versus getting feedback on some of the bigger movies that you've gotten?
Well, it's like, yeah, it's funny you mention that. Yeah, like for me, it's like I really separate my I try as hard as I can on everything that I work on. Anything that I like direct or I would consider Friends from College like this too is like a different thing. So Storks was actually very close to me, you know. So like I actually because that got kind of mixed reviews, and I was like pretty confused by that, and then was like, whatever, that's fine, you know. And it's I got to make the thing, and that's, you know, I got to explore all this stuff, and I love that movie. So like it wasn't, at the end of the day, I didn't really care, you know. And so I think like, yeah, it's like I don't know. We don't really have I don't really have a combative relationship with like executives or people who give notes or whatever. I always look at it as like a useful way to have like fresh eyes on something. And honestly, Netflix is really awesome and hands off, and they do give notes, but they're like take or leave when the notes are smart. And so yeah, so it's not, I mean, but there is a difference, like I think, between something that I might just write and something that like I'm really like creating and directing, like I you know, and that has to do with like really emotionally like connecting with the material.
I kind of wondered how hands-on Netflix was when you say something like there's kind of a spot for an episode maybe that's missing, like on something like Undeclared. You have X many episodes, and if you're going to fill them, and you know the show kind of expands to fill the space.
Right.
But with Netflix, you know, things can fluctuate on time, or some episodes can be shorter or longer. Was it freeing to have less rules, or was it actually? I know sometimes in creative projects it can be frustrating and not have boundaries.
I love it. I think it's kind of an amazing setup because like if your episode should be 26 minutes long, that's what it should be, and if your episode should be 31 minutes long, that's what it should be. It's so nice to not have to like tread water just to fill up space, or to cut down stuff that's vital in a story just because that's the amount of time you've been given. So it's like within the parameters, you know what I mean? They won't let you turn in like a 14-minute episode, and if you have 8 episodes in your season, I don't know that they would really appreciate a phone call being like, guess what, we've got 7. But you know, like those parameters are also, as you said, they're helpful to you. Like the fact that we, in the beginning of our writing season, had 7 episodes and couldn't find an 8th was really telling us we didn't have enough story to sustain. Like we needed more stories to happen, and we needed to engage the characters in different ways than we were engaging them. And it was you know what I mean? It's like we weren't like, okay, for a while we were like, maybe we could solve it by doing like a bottle episode, or like going back in time, or doing a dream sequence. And then we were like, the problem here is bigger than like the 8th episode. The problem here is like we haven't like dug into this, you know, in a sufficiently like rich way. And then sure enough, you get your 8th episode.
There's some just really great moments in season 1. I want to thank you for giving me Fred Savage dancing the Umbop. That's just great. And then slow down as he Nightmare realizes what he's done. Are there are there themes that you see in each other's work that you kind of look for in joining together on this show?
Well, I mean, I think that's a really thoughtful question too. I think that we've often said it's sort of, I feel like we each have strengths in the writer's room, and we kind of know when it's time to like sit back and let the other person really guide the conversation because they're in their zone. And this is, and I feel like, Nick comes from a real comedy writing background and a joke background, and the way he can, like find a button for a scene or wring a laugh out of a situation that just seems way too dire to be laughed at is kind of, to me, always feels like a weird like magic trick. And he can do it on set too and stuff. Scenes can be written in a really serious way and suddenly everybody's laughing. And so that's something that I feel like can really enhance and improve like dramatic moments that I think I'm sort of more drawn to in a way, is like having
and then she's really good at being like, but no human would ever say that or do that. You're like, oh right, but it's funny, and I know because no one would ever say or do that. So I think, I get very anxious when there's no jokes in anything, and I think that if it's like not like real,
right, I get very anxious.
And so it's a good, we both know that about each other, and so it's a good, I think we connect, our material connects over that, and for me too, like honestly, like the most dramatic moments in my life have tended to also be funny, something funny or if not funny, weird, like it's, and so that's also the lens through which, and I think that you would say that too, like, lens, through which we see the world is a comedic lens, just because it's like honest,
And what is fun about writing the show together is that, like, as we said before, it was sort of originally conceived as a show about marriage, and I think we felt like it is really great to approach a show about marriage with, like, a man's voice and a woman's voice in the writing mix, and that sometimes...
And about male-female friendship, which are weirdly never in anything. Like,
male-female friendships and an equal balance of male and female characters, like trying to get through their real shit together. It's very helpful to have. I mean, obviously, any good writer's room has men in it and women in it, but it's really helpful to just have those voices be totally equally represented at the table, I think.
Were there any just really great scenes that you had in your head, that we're going to get Ethan and Sam to this conversation, and then it just didn't go that way in the script, or that just kind of got left on the floor?
Think about that. We had really wanted to have Marianne and Sam in this season have like a big sort of fight about their friendship, because we've always been interested in the idea of why these two characters are such good friends. They seem like they're from totally different planets, and Marianne's loyalties between Lisa and Sam. We're just always like, how are these two people such good friends? And we really wanted to get into that and to have a fight about like the affair and the ways that Marianne had felt unfairly implicated in it and all that stuff. And
it was really fun to think about and
we were interested in thinking about it, and we were interested in writing it, and we wrote it 20 million times in 20 million ways, and it just always, we felt like we even shot some of it, and it just felt like it wasn't where like the heat on the screen was to us when we watched those scenes or read them or reworked them for the 1,000th time. We were always like, but is this really what I'm turning to this show for? Like, is it that relationship that like keeps my eye on the screen? So
it's such a great cast as well. Have you had any just surprise moments where Keegan or somebody said something just off, like, oh, that's great, that's him, or had a hard day on set keeping it together?
I mean, we're very lucky with our cast. I mean, there was something in the foils in the first episode of this season, which where Keegan Ethan hasn't seen Lisa as ex, and now we're going to find out his ex-wife in a year, and he kind of went up to her. He goes up to her and like he wants to know what's going on with their marriage, and I shot a take of it, and I was like, it just seems too normal. And then I said to him, just do it again, but like you don't know what to do with your hands. And he just did the funniest, weirdest thing, and it suddenly became just like, and we used little pieces of it in the scene, but so you'll see, but it's like, it took a moment that is awkward and wasn't feeling awkward. It was written a little awkward, but it wasn't, and turns it like so awkward it just suddenly felt very real, but also very funny. And he was so good at that.
There's also I can think of infinite examples of what you're talking about, but one of my favorite moments is in this season. There's a scene with Keegan and Fred Savage, and Fred just went on a crazy improv run like Asian had. It would give away too much of what happens, the context of it, but he went on this crazy improv tear that's like the entire thing is in the final cut of that episode, and it's like I am still marveling over how he could even string all those words together so coherently, so quickly, much less have them be as funny as they are. And the whole, it was kind of one of those great moments that happen sometimes where like the whole crew was standing at Video Village, like just with their mouths open, like, is this really happening? Like, because you could hear it, but it was being shot not far away, and we were all just like, oh my god! And it's all in there exactly as he did it on that one take, just from his brain. Yeah. So.
I also with Kobe, like I always forget because she's such an amazing actress, and we really approached this with a more like her kind of working with her kind of more serious acting stuff, but I always forget that she's like a sitcom machine, you know, a comedy machine, and there's a thing late in the season where like she just like freaks out about something, and she was doing it very kind of dramatically, and I just said like, this time can you just scream like you've just lost your, like freak out like you've lost your mind about this, and that and I think I literally, and I've never said this because it's a terrible direction, but I was like, just like a little like more comedically, which is like the worst thing to say to an actress, and I was like, I'm really sorry, and she was like, oh yeah, totally, like a computer, like a comedy computer. I was like, okay, and then did this thing that was so funny, and like clearly from like 10 years of being on How I Met Your Mother, I just like zeroed in on this. So yeah.
Do you have anything favorite thing that you hope people get out of season 2? Or thing you're most looking forward to people discovering?
We're really excited about this season. We feel like it is. There are some surprises in it. We hope plot surprises, and we don't know. You never know until it's out in the world if people will be surprised by them or if they'll see them coming from a million miles away. But we hope that they work as surprises, and we hope that the way the season goes, it kind of is slightly like.
It picks up speed.
It picks up speed. It's like going downhill, and it just keeps snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. And we hope that there are some moments in there that are surprising to people.
The trailer looks hysterical, so I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Of course, I'll get to see episode 1 tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.